So hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us at our UGLO Talks session. We are recording the session and are willing to hear about your questions. To link to our previous session about work and personal life reconciliation, I would like to share a quote that I found on Facebook from Fais-moi lire. In today's world, our society asks a mother to raise her children as if she had no job, to work as if she did not have kids, and to look like a woman who hasn't had children and doesn't have to work for a living. We are meeting here today to raise awareness on what it means to be a woman at the university nowadays and seek how the UGLO Alliance can best address the challenges it induces. This to make our European campus, your European campus, a place where all feel welcome and at home. The International Women's Day emerged from a proposition made in 1910 from German delegates Clara Zetkin and Kate Dunker, Paula Tiede, and others, although no dates was specified. To that purpose, an International Socialist Women's Conference was organized ahead of the general meeting of the Socialist Second International in Copenhagen, Denmark, happening in August 1910. During the Socialist Second International General Meeting that followed this conference, the 100 delegates present, representing 17 countries, agreed with the idea as a strategy to promote equal rights, including women's suffrage. Until 1967, the International Women's Day remained predominantly a communist holiday. It is only in 1975 that the United Nations began celebrating this day. In 1977, the Nations General Assembly invited member states to proclaim March 8 as an official UN holiday for women's rights and world peace. Before we dive into the topic, let me thank you all for joining us here today. Sylvie Retailleau, president of the University Paris-Saclay, will talk about her rise in her professional life and challenges she has encountered along the way. Marine Ocala, student in law at the University Paris-Saclay, will share her experience as a student and explain to us why it is important to educate ourselves. Ana Oliveira from University of Porto, currently finishing her PhD in economics, will talk about the challenges young women face in academia and possible solutions for the future. Noémie Gameau, student at the University Paris-Saclay and president of the association Fières et Sœurs, Proud and Sisters, will present the initiatives this association has developed since 2020. Sarah Borata, project manager on diversity and equality for the Université Paris-Saclay, will present a local initiative aiming at raising awareness about the services and support the university has made available on this topic for students and staff. As usual, many of us are present, and though you may not see each other, the audience can interact through Q&As and polls during the conference. Stay tuned because we will have a Q&A session at the end of the presentations. Please note that this conference is recorded and a replay will be made available on our website, www.uglo.eu, the place where you can also find the past sessions input. Don't forget to ask your questions and share your thoughts along the way through the Q&A tab. I will now pass the floor to Sylvie Retailleau, President of the Université Paris-Saclay.
Thank you very much. And first, I'm very happy and honored to be with you today and to open this webinar. And first, I would like to say that it's difficult to currently speak and think of anything other than this war, which violates the rights of people. But it obliges us even more to continue to defend the rights of all, and in particular here, the rights of women on this particular day. So first, I would like to say and to remember that France, in its presidency of the G7, has made equality between women and men a priority with three main objectives. First, protect women against violence. Second, provide access to education for all girls and women. And third, encourage more women entrepreneurs. And the European Union has made similar commitments. So there are laudable goals indeed. But how surprising that in this time when there was a French presidency in G7 in 2019, it is still necessary not only to defend human rights for women, but to enhance it as a major policy. It has been a long way since the suffragettes, and we can vote so since 1945 in France only. And we don't quit our jobs because of marriage. And we no longer need the permission of our husbands or fathers to open a bank account. And this is only since 1965 in France. And at least in theory, in most richer nations, women have control of their own reproductive decisions. So, in my own personal experience, before I became president of Paris-Saclay University, I was a student in physics, then a researcher, a teacher, and before all, a woman who, as the year went by, became more and more aware of the reality of being a woman in higher education, in science, and particularly in leading position. Our experience in France is not so different from the one in other European countries, I think. Unconscious bias towards women in science is in fact, and even if I myself have been lucky enough not to have encountered the famous glass ceiling, I saw many other women suffer from it. Even from those of us who managed to progress at a normal pace in our careers, the credit was often given to quotas rather than to our abilities. The more you advance in your career, the more you find yourself in the minority. It becomes even more evident at high level of management or policy making. Being elected presidents by your peers does not give you automatic legitimacy as it would be for a male colleague. You have to continually prove yourself and combat well-intentioned advice from well-meaning male colleagues. Conscious or unconscious, ingrained and everyday sexism is a fact of life that you have to deal daily as a woman at a leading position. At the current rate of progress, it will take 130 years, something like that, to achieve gender equality at the highest levels of power. To make a difference and change our system, power must be shared equitably, and feminist leadership must be recognized by all. We are different from male leaders, and above all, we should not want to copy them. According to feminist principles, leading means redefining the concepts of value and success, sharing the power and credit of success, assuming for empathy and conviction are assets. We need to radically transform our political, economic, and social systems if we are to overcome to current health, economic, and social crisis, and the balance of male and female leadership will be one of the keys. In education, despite their higher academic achievement, female students focus on a narrower range of courses, and then in their professional career, they are less prestigious and less paid. Why? In engineering, women represent 27% of students only, In medicine, over half of medical students are women, yet men occupy the majority of the top-level positions. The contrast is even higher in the humanities, where 70% of students are women, percentage that is not reflected at the top of those professions. Moreover, when doing exactly the same job, women earn 9% less than men. Perhaps it's time to have for a new approach. The nature versus nurture debate remains a live issue, and there is currently some fascinating research in both sociology or neuroscience on this. But in the meantime, we have to go beyond the default position. This default position being that the white male is the norm, the standard. I can give you an example among many others. For example, a story. Crash test dummies have all been built based on the standard man, and when they finally decided to do some testing using a female dummy, she was only tested in the passenger seat. So you see, we have a lot of work. We need to educate our youth and educate our educators, men and women, to look beyond the stereotypical roles and from this understanding of what the default norm is or should be. Studies have shown that even in primary schools, boys are asked to reply to questions more often than girls. And in school reports, girls are praised for their hard work and rarely or ever for their abilities, while boys' progress or failure is attributed to their intelligence or laziness. So gender stereotyping starts there and becomes more entrenched as they progress through their education, and hence the discrepancies in the choice of disciplines at university level and beyond. Removing gender stereotyping from school books and expanding ongoing equality training for teachers would be a very good start. Another point is that childcare, schoolwork, and household management should be the responsibility of both parents. Yet the statistics show that women, mothers, on average, still do 80% of all this work. Fathers, with the specific help and encouragement of employers, need to, and many of them would like to, be more involved in the lives of their children and the running of their homes. At Paris-Saclay, we are addressing this problem in several ways. And to finish, I would like to give you some examples. First, for pupils, we have a house with outreach program to promote the discovery of science for primary and secondary school pupils, especially girls. It is a space where children, together with teachers and young researchers, question, make mistakes, experiment, and discover scientific and exploratory approaches together. Second example is, we call it Cordée de la Réussite, les Cordées de la Réussite. This is an equal opportunity scheme to provide access to higher education for young people from disadvantaged neighborhoods and particularly girls. Another example is the mentorship programs for young women doctoral students and also for women entrepreneurs. Of course, our recruitment committees have equal representation, and we monitor gender statistics in terms of recruitment and promotions in Paris-Saclay University. And to finish, in the upcoming 2024 Paralympics in France, Paris-Saclay, which has already received the Génération 2024 label, will pay particular attention to promoting women Olympians. So it is really urgent that we redress these imbalances, and we have to become more imaginative in our solutions, focusing on men, boys, and employers as much as women and girls. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sylvie. We will now take the time to listen to some testimonies students have sent us.
A woman at the university nowadays, what dimensions do you think the wording conveys?
For me, one dimension that this wording conveys is the dimension of time, as especially the word nowadays really is pointing into the direction that this is still an issue, that women at university is still something that needs to be pointed out and that needs to be focused on.
Hi, I'm Mathis Lavin and I'm first grade in Paris-Saclay University. I don't know how I can respond at this question because I don't be a woman. By the teacher, I think it is the same. By the student, it is different, but not badly.
So in my perspective, it conveys a temporal point of view in what concerns to gender issues, particularly in the field of education.
Hello, I'm Alexandre. I'm in third year of biology studies. In my opinion, being a woman in university is not really different than being a man, just you have to have a little more of courage to assume your desire of studies, to not block yourself in your choice of course of studies, because I think as a woman we are more able to be afraid of the failure and to not choose a thing that we think it's too difficult. We are more susceptible to think that we're not enough and we are not enough intelligent to success in this way and in these studies, so we have to be just more yes, brave to try and see what happened. But I think it's more frequent in women to reduce ourselves. So
how do you think you can contribute to reduce prejudice women face at university?
I think the main problems that can encounter a woman in university is also the precarity of the period, and we can distribute some free protections to help the women that cannot pay their protections. We can also make some distancial courses if the pain is too high. I think that because we don't talk too much about that, but some women have a real great pain during their periods, and that's not really easy to be in course in this moment. And we can also create more associations to talk about the sexism and different violences that we can encounter at the university, to make heard our voices.
Well, first, I always try to give the example and have an educative posture towards prejudice comments, whether they are about gender issues or not. Also working with the students associations and federations, organizing awareness activities, having political positions, and supporting the victims of this prejudice.
There's a lot of different words that I'd like to coin or put in the room. For example, visibility and initiative. I think women need to be visible with what they're doing, and they need to take the initiative in order to show and demonstrate that women can, in fact, be successful at university, just as every male counterpart. Another word is vocality. And another important thing, I think, is having a very supportive culture. So women supporting women, men supporting women. There needs to be an atmosphere at university that allows for women to strive and be successful and, yes, be the best version of themselves.
Have you experienced or witnessed sexism or sexual violence at your university?
Fortunately, I have not, but I know some friends and colleagues who have, and it didn't have a lot of or significant consequences for the aggressors.
I never see any sexual aggression, and it's strange because around of me I see some women who are hurt by this aggression. So yes, and I don't know how I can help because I don't see it. So I don't know.
Personally, I didn't heard about violences in my close environment, but sexism, yes, because there is some comments that can be made by our students, by our by men students who think that we are not intelligent enough and make some mansplaining in different subjects, and that's quite frustrating and irritating. And there are also some main teachers in their teaching, when we participate or when we make an oral, they are more free to stop the voice of a woman more than a man. They stop them in their answer and in the development of their idea, and that's quite frustrating also for women more than men. And one teacher particularly in the lab that when a woman doesn't go right to the answer, they are stopped in their development, but men not. So that's frustrating also.
It's a no for sexual violence. I think sexism is a little bit more difficult because it also connects to my direction or my degree. I am studying medicine and I'm preparing myself to be in a very male-dominated field later on. There's different directions of medicine, obviously, and my thinking and my choosing right now, my decision making really is based not only on what is most interesting, but what and which direction allows me to become pregnant and have a family and still stay working. So I wouldn't really say in university always with the different professors, for example, but really the field and the studying and my thinking is very much influenced by sexism.
So thank you for sharing these testimonies. We, as usually do, run short survey, and so Kristen will lead us through. So you, our audience, may tell us how you feel about this subject. Kristen.
Hello, everyone. Yes. So we would like to get your opinion. I've written in the chat a link. You can click on the link directly, and it will take you to this page. And as soon as we start to get some answers, they should show up here. So please let us know, how do you think you can contribute to reduce prejudice women may face at your university? I should say we also have the option, you can write in the chat anonymously if you'd like to participate in that way. We'll go for 10 more seconds.
So we have a comment in the chat, by being a good role model.
All right, I think we can stop here. So it's a lot of people feel that it is through influencing university policies. Many also feel engaging in a political party or through political change. And then we have a few comments from the chat, as Catherine said, by being a good role model. And someone else has written, to fight gender prejudices, to educate females on the importance of gender equality, like our principal has said earlier. There should be proper awareness from home, which is the smallest unity of the society. Another point is to campaign against low self-esteem of women in the society. The term inferiority complex is very common among the females when it comes to gender participation in all ramifications in the society. The international bodies as well need to give room for mass female participation in all areas of their policy making. I'm sure that many female-based organizations can advocate this idea in both national and international levels, and I'm sure this will give a voice to many voices out there. We also have another comment, by having women in leadership, supporting other women and female students. Wonderful, very good feedback. So now we'd like to go to the next question. Have you ever experienced or witnessed sexism, sexual violence at your university? I think we can go for 10 more seconds. Okay, there don't seem to be more answers coming in. Oh, there's one more. We can see here that unfortunately, of 18 participants, 9 have experienced sexual harassment themselves. That's half of us in this voting. So thank you so much for your feedback. And I will stop the share screen now.
Thank you, Kristen, and the audience for contributing to this. It is now time to listen to our second testimony. Marie Nokala, a student from University Paris-Saclay, has kindly accepted to share her experience as a woman. A student at the Marine, can you go?
Yes, thank you. So hi everyone, my name is Marine Michel. I'm 22 years old and I study law at Paris-Saclay. Growing up, I always knew that I wanted to study the law and I never questioned it. So when it was the time for me to choose where I would go for college, I already knew that I would subscribe to law school. I never questioned the difficulties of the discipline, nor that I questioned the difficulties of accessing certain types of career because of my condition being a woman. I simply thought that I should just work like my classmates and that everything will be good because there were no explicit obstacles. And my first point is that the obstacles that women meet are implicit. I met few of these implicit obstacles during my studies, and I'm sure that later on, after my studies in the professional environment, I will meet few more of them. I concretely saw the effect of this kind of obstacles within my familial environment. My mother and my father were both teachers, and they both had great ambition for their career. And when they had me and my three other sisters, one of them had to put their career aside in order to take care of the family. And without any doubt, it's my mother who had to put her career aside in order to raise me and my sister, while my father grew his career and became principal, moving from cities to cities. And the choice of which parent had to take care of the family has been made implicitly. It's the woman, of course, because she's the mother and she has the maternal instinct. And 20 years later, my mother is now continuing her professional evolution by becoming a principal after me and my sister are old enough to take care of ourselves. These familial conditions has taught me to make my career a priority. I do want to build a family and eventually to have children, but I don't want it to be at the cost of my career. This affirmation brings me to my second point, and the most important because it takes its sources within ourselves. It's deconstruction. The process of deconstruction is necessary. We need to question the beliefs that we have been taught. We need to deconstruct the fact that a woman is more able to run a household than a man, the fact that men are more qualified to higher position than women. These beliefs can influence us on our professional choices. For example, a woman can consciously or unconsciously aspire of lower position in a jurisdiction or in a company, just because she thinks that she will not be qualified enough. And as I said before, in the professional field, I can prevent myself from asking a pay increase or a promotion, even if I have worked hard for it, just because I don't want to disturb or because I think that it's normal to work this hard, when in reality, an increasement of the quantity of work and of the quality of work deserve a pay rise. And as students, the way we can all deconstruct our faulty beliefs are through association, as the one that Noemi will talk about later. In the university, I am part of two associations, one that inform and question subjects about feminism, and one of debates. Fiers et Sœurs has taught me about all of the injunctions that are made about me without me noticing. The injunction about how I should dress as a woman, what is expected from me in a relationship, etc. And it has also taught me about the various other situations in which people are. For example, the situation of many people in the LGBT community and the violence, of course, that women suffer. And the other association of debating has taught me that I can speak as clearly and I can be as convincing as a man. I just need to have the tools for it. My voice as a woman is as important as any other voices, and I also have things to say. In my classes, our teachers always tell us that some professionals have an increasing female representation, that more and more women are applying to be judges and lawyers. However, in high position, we always see a majority of men, if not only men. I oversee that even if women have been able to enter certain professional environments, they still are not able to be directing these environments. And for me, it's almost as they were authorized to be passenger in the car and to look through the window, but not authorized to drive the car and choose its direction. University is the perfect place to deconstruct our belief, to acknowledge as women our ambition and our power. In university, we meet new people with different backgrounds. We learn new subjects, and it's the perfect timing to ask ourselves who we truly are and what do we really want to do. We cannot do this until we've acknowledged the obstacles that are slowing us down, faulty beliefs and implicit obstacles. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marine. Anna Oliveira, a student from the University of Porto, will give us another testimony as a woman student at the university.
Thank you, Catherine, and thank you for the invitation to participate in this talk. So my name is Anna. I'm about to defend my PhD thesis in economics at the University of Porto, and I'm 32. And the age here, I think, it also has because of my age and my profession. I think I believe I can bring hopefully a useful contribution for the discussion. So I was asked to talk about the challenges of being a young woman in academia, and I think one of the most common challenges that young researchers, women researchers face is the need to be fully mobile. So nowadays, to become a researcher, to have a postdoc position, to have a bright future, to be successful in academia, it's often required to be fully mobile, to do visitings abroad, to take your PhD program abroad, to have a postdoc abroad. And myself, I'm about to move to the Netherlands to take my postdoc. And many universities, especially in Central Europe, they don't even hire researchers who have been PhD candidates there. So which means that not only women, but I think the burden is harder on women, have to move when they reach their 30s, some of them with children already, and they are obliged to move cities, to move countries to get a position at university if they want to pursue an academic career. So I think it's even harder for less recognized universities, like in North Central European countries, universities, where the need to do a postdoc abroad, or to take your PhD abroad, or do more visitings abroad is even harder. And of course, because most of us are in our early 30s, but in our mid 30s, and many of us already have children, or we have plans to have children. That adds a lot of more difficulties to these plans, which have consequences on our academic career prospects. I would like to add a few other challenges that personally I've met, but there are also academic evidence on some discrimination that women face in academia when they are researchers. For example, in economics, there's a very recent paper, and I found it very interesting because it is something that I think a lot of women felt, but now it is proven, is that women in seminars, and specifically in economics, they face more questions, and the comments they get are more patronizing, and most of the times they are hostile. So this meets what the student at Paris-Saclay that spoke in the video, she mentioned that, and it's actually a perception that a lot of us have, the fact that women, while giving seminars, they get more questions, they are interrupted more often, and the types of comments they get, sometimes the tone is different from the comments that men, their male counterparts have. And again, so this is a study that analyzed more than 500 seminars in economics, and actually they were able to identify that men and women were not treated equally while giving seminars, regardless of the topic of the seminar. And there's another study that studies the assessment that women in math-related topics have from students. And they found that female teachers got worse grades from their students compared to their male counterparts. Marine mentioned that although discrimination is not is forbidden by law, the difficulties that women face most of the times are forms of discrimination that are not covered by the law. Because by law it's forbidden in most of our countries, but the difficulties are still there, the challenges are still there. So about the solutions, and I think there's no simple answer to that, but we need to address these difficulties that, although are not addressed by the law. I mean, the law is equal for everyone, but the same rules put women challenges that are not put to men. And I would mention to academia a few solutions, a few ideas that I think it will be helpful for women in academia. The first is to think about the duration of our employment contracts in academia. Can we cope with contracts that last for 12 months and require us to move countries? Some of us with children, some of us pregnant, some of us planning to have children. Can we cope with being fully mobile for contracts that last for 12 months only? The second idea is regards our workload. So for example, in Portugal, we teach for 12 hours. We have 12 hours of contact hours. If by each contact hour, we have to prepare 2 hours of classes, especially if you are young professionals, it's very easy to take 2 hours to prepare one contact hour. We already reached more than 35 hours per week, which means that all our research, all our administrative tasks have to be done in our free time. So after the 35 or 40 hours of weekly work. So whenever we have responsibilities at home, and we know that unfortunately these are not as balanced as they should, this puts a lot of burden in women. A third idea is, of course, if in our universities and research centers, when they hire women, they are able or they are available to provide family-friendly policies, namely kindergartens for their children, but also extra bonus for children. So if universities require women to be mobile, as men have always been, so we should be also available to provide with family-friendly policies. And of course, a fourth idea is to have to educate and to educate for a better division of parental and family responsibilities. And just to finish, because I think I'm overdue, I've met young researchers in several countries I've been living in. I've met young researchers to avoiding to create strong relationships. I've met women scheduling their pregnancies in full detail so that they could give birth before their contract ended. I've met researchers in tenure track with young toddlers who are that tired. And I've met young female who career prospects were very narrow because they already have children. And of course, they cannot be as mobile, they are not as so available as their male counterparts. So, and these are my ideas. So thank you.
Thank you, Anna. During the lockdown in 2020, women studying law at the University Paris-Saclay decided to set up an association to fight for women's rights. Noémie Gameau will tell us more about this association, Fières et Sœurs, Proud and Sisters.
Hi everyone. My name is Noémie Gameau. I am a third-year law student currently in the United Kingdom as part of an Erasmus exchange at the University of Sheffield. And so Fières et Sœurs, Proud and Sisters, as Catherine says, is a feminist association based at the Jean Monnet Law School. We promote an intersectional feminism, which means that we defend mainly women's rights, but we also defend the LGBT cause and basically every minority. We were born out of a common indignation about the increase in domestic violence during the lockdown. So 4 students, including me, decided to take action on their own scale. And our key words are to strengthen student solidarity, to raise awareness of the female condition by listening, exchanging, and speaking about it, to reveal the hidden violence, and to prevent sexist behaviors. As our association was created during the pandemic, we have focused mainly on our Instagram account, which has been very well received and has more than 1,160 followers. I can put the Instagram account on the chat if you want to check. It's all in French, but yeah, it can be an example of what you can do in your university. Through our many posts, we raise awareness among students about different topics related to feminism, such as consent, slut shaming, and street harassment, for which we have made a podcast. We expose violence by giving students the opportunity to express themselves in a format reserved for testimonials on all forms of sexism they may have experienced at university. We believe that in order to prevent sexist behavior, it is essential to educate. And since the association is in a law school, we aim to raise the awareness of future police officers, lawyers, and judges who may later be confronted with gender-based violence. That's why we explain our fights with educational posts like the Feminist Dictionary, which allows us to define a term of feminism that is not always understood by everyone, but which point out a particular phenomenon. For example, one of the first definitions we posted was the definition of patriarchy. Finally, in order to strengthen student solidarity, we provide a safe space within the association where discussions and debates are encouraged and confidentiality is guaranteed. When demonstrations are organized in Paris, we offer to the members of the association, as well as to all the people who wish to participate, a workshop to create signs with feminist slogans using paint. And then we go as a group to the feminist demonstration and we join the procession. Thanks to our experience with the law, we want to give a more legal approach to the feminism. Thus, our legal info format allows us to explain laws that have been passed or court decisions related to women's or LGBTQ rights. This legal approach allows us to criticize justice in an informed way. And we plan to organize conferences on these topics. At the end of the year 2021, we organized a collection of sanitary protection to fight against period poverty, which I believe one of the students in the video talked about. And with the end of the pandemic, we hope to be able to organize a charity gala to donate the funds to associations that fight against domestic violence and offer housing to victims in difficulty. Our association is also a relay for initiatives. Our members are invited to be creative and propose their projects for us to implement. Moreover, we have done anonymous surveys and we have collected many testimonies that illustrate the sexism that women can suffer at the university. So I'll read you one. It's a woman student who wrote that. Some male students, so it took place at the University of Paris-Saclay at the faculty Jean Monnet. Some male students allow themselves to make comments about female students' attire when they leave the restroom. In this case, a thick turtleneck sweater that was said to show the shape of the bra and that it would look too slutty for a lawyer. Nevertheless, despite this kind of testimony, by being part of a feminist student association, I realized that my generation was committed, tolerant, and more educated on this subject, including boys. I am optimistic for the future. We often have men asking us how to be more involved in the cause. The answer is often to listen to women and relay information. Moreover, our visibility on Instagram has allowed many societies to know us and to contact us to make collaborations. Sometimes it's just a matter of republishing posts promoting events. Thus, our followers are kept informed of feminist events taking place in the department. But sometimes it is also about collaboration on the organization of the event itself. For example, we are currently collaborating with the Diplomatic Society of Paris-Saclay, led by the Master II Diplomacy and Strategic Negotiations. And on the occasion of the International Women's Rights Day, the Society organized yesterday a drink and talk conference on the theme of women, the evolution of their rights and representation in diplomacy. So speakers such as diplomats and specialists on gender inequality issues intervened to share their analysis and to exchange with participants. So I think I said everything. I hope I inspired some people to create associations in their own university because it had been a great experience for me and I met a lot of people. And I think it's very important to educate the students on these subjects. And yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Noemi, for that. And yes, if you're inspired and want to have some insight on how to do it, I'm sure Noemi will be happy to help in these regards. Sarah Baratav, Project Manager on Diversity and Equality for the University Paris-Saclay, will present to you an initiative that harassment services of the university have started to prevent more efficiently sexual and gender-based violences. Sarah, the floor is yours.
Okay, let me share. Okay, can you see it? Maybe I can put it in.
We can see it.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
It's okay.
Yeah.
This is not the right. Okay. So hi everybody, I'm very pleased to be here. Just to start, I wanted to apologize because I'm not be able to stay until the end of the conference because I am attending after that a students organization anti-harassment project. So I will have to go. It's the 8th of March is very a busy day. Anyway, so I'm going to present the policy. Okay, to fight against sexual gender-based violence at the university. So we have different level of commitment, the harassment service, staff training, sexual gender-based violence ambassadors. So all the students that are on the theme of violence, and a special survey that we launched at the beginning of the year. So to begin, let me see, because I can't see I don't know how to, the objective of the first of all, the harassment service, the objective is to accompany, listen and give orientation to people who are victims, but also witness of all type of harassment. We are talking about sexual, moral, cyber harassment, sexist violence, all the person before this presentation talked about sexism, and it's a reality. So all these things are in the what we call harassments. The composition of this service is there is a gender equality officer, doctors, nurses, social workers. It's a very multidisciplinary teams to and also resources and legal departments, and all these teams is in this service to respond to a harassment situation. And to when a person is a victim or witness of harassment, she can write to this mail address, which is a mail address with her name, or we also create a reporting an anonymous reporting platform. If the person doesn't at the beginning at least to give her name, she can write to the service, to the harassment service in an anonymous way. Sorry for the accent. Then I will speak about staff trainings. It's very important for us to act, to have awareness actions, but also real training for staff. So we have different models, very general and general training about gender-based and sexual violence in higher education. This is all the concept of sexual violence and how to recognize it, and how to fight against it. There is another module which is based on listening and accompanying victim, which is more this module is we create a little groups and like theater, and they can be in situation of receiving in a victim and trying to accompanying her. In general, it's her. And another module about how to improve our harassment service to accompanying better the victims and the witnesses. We have also different modalities with these trainings, because according to the disponibility of the staff, we have modules in 2 hours, very short, very short and concrete, in video. We also have real training with presentiel. I don't know how to say that, but
In
the
person.
people
in person.
That can be half a day, and we try to adapt the training to the disponibility of the staff. And these trainings are for different public. It could be staff representative, but also doctors, nurses, social workers, human resource staff, etc. Governance también, sorry for the Spanish. Governance also, and directors. We try to have very large, to touch very large public, and we also have students ambassadors. So that's a new that's a new project. The association FIRSR is part of this. There are right now 70 ambassadors, and there are students that want to act against violence. So they have a letter mission, mission letters signed by the president. And in this letter, it's written that they have to act to provide information and raise awareness about violence in the university, sexual violence in the university. So the idea is that they see in their component what type of action exists, try to work with association about sexual violence, communicate about the harassment service, and before each event, important event, they implement good practice. So the students always have very good ideas about what to do to act against violence. So they have, for example, code words, telephone numbers of trust people. They have like T-shirt or armband to see who are the trusted people. They communicate on a national or local association that can accompany the victims or the witness. And these good practices are very important to implement before each event. So they do it. And there are two concrete actions, new actions that they are implementing. They are working on the creation of a zero tolerance, violence, zero tolerance. I don't know how to say it. Zero tolerance association charter. To propose to the association of the university a charter for good practices against violence. And the other project is elaboration of awareness videos about consent. To pass them in the beginning of the school year and before a festive event. And the idea is that they will make these videos and they will work together about what they want to put in these videos. Okay, and the last thing is the survey that we launched in at the beginning of the year. It was very important for us to launch this survey to determine the expectation and needs of victim and witness of violence, to improve and the functioning of the harassment service. The harassment service is functioning, but we think that he's not enough well known, and we want to know if victim or witness of violence, when they are in this situation, they write to the harassment service or no, if not, why, and understand how the people work with the harassment service. So the idea is to understand better the treatment process, and also to identify and describe the diversity of situation of violence suffered. So we don't have yet the results. We will have them I don't know, before summer, and we are very we think that it's a very important way to improve how the functionment of our service. And to go further, donc I think that both you know, some of you knows this little video, which is very interesting and about consent. So if you don't know it, it's made by English people, and it's treating a very important concept, which is the consent in a very interesting way. So I advise you to see it, and also the university equality and sexual violence awareness weeks. All the years we are organizing with all our partners lots of action around November the 25th and around the 8th of March today, and all the action you can find it in the links there. Yeah, that's it. I hope the English was okay and understandable.
Thank you, Sarah. Can you share the links in the chat for everyone to have them? Thank you very much. We hope you enjoyed all these testimonies and initiatives. It is now the time to exchange our thoughts, doubts and questions with you through the Q&A session. Kristen, do we have any questions for our panelists?
Yes, thank you so much. We have a few questions in the Q&A from different people. And then we have some from the comments that we would like to bring up as well. The first one from the Q&A is, what are the possible ways to tackle low self-esteem among women? What's the best remedy for stage fright among women?
So would anyone like to answer that one?
I'm not sure if I have the answer, but there's an interesting experience made in UK with children, 5-year-old children, no, 7-year-old children, where they compare self-esteem by young kids, both genders. And they found that when kids are 7 years old, they already have they already reflect this gender bias in terms of self-esteem. So maybe this is not the solution, but it is something that tells us that this is something that has to start from a very young age. So the kind of incentives we provide, the kind of toys that we give to girls and boys. So all that matters, and it starts at a very young age.
Would anyone else like to comment?
We can't hear you. Yeah.
Maybe I can. Thanks. I think that just to try to answer, all actors in education have really an important role. And I think that it's from primary school. It's very important. And also as well as both girls and boys. And I think that it's very important to educate boys and men as well as women and girls. And maybe also women have to stop apologizing. And I think that we have to exist and to assume also our difference. And it's very important. And I think that the education is the key for maybe.
Thank you, Sylvie. I had one comment, Kristen, if you allow me, about that, because I did listen to someone talking today about confidence and how do we gain confidence. And this person said, well, it's not about how do you win confidence, but how do you remove your doubts? And so maybe that would help as well. Stop doubting if you can. Try to find ways just to try and see what happens with it and not doubt. This would be easier than just how do I win confidence, but just a thought.
Yes, and Noemi, would you like to say something more?
Yes, Yes, I completely agree with Ana Oliveira and Sylvie Retailleau on the education. I believe that there are things that we say to young children that can be that can reflect how they will behave later. For instance, I think we've all heard this comment when a boy is making fun or harassing young girls, and then parents are going to say, well, that's because he likes you. And when you say that to young children, you teach them and you teach girls that violence, because it's a type of violence, because the young girl is upset, but what's the boy is doing, violence is a form of love. And then this type of comments can then well, it's going to turn into a toxic relationship, and later domestic violence when the husband is hitting his wife, and she's going to think that it's still love and that he loves her. And when he's being very controlling about what she wears and when she's going out and what she drinks and what she eats, then it's still love, when it's just control, and it's not it is not love. And that's something that we were taught at a very, very young age. And whenever I hear this type of comments like, oh well, he's making fun of you because he likes you, well, I will say no, that's not true, and we should teach young boys to be nice to girls, and the other way around, of course.
Thank you so much for your comment.
Thank you.
Yeah. Then we have a great, it's a good segue over to the next question. What can be done for more men to be made aware of and included in the fight for equality? I believe many men have heard of, but are unable to emotionally relate to, the challenges often faced by women. And creating this emotional relationship is likely to be important. Anyone have comments about how we can include men in this fight?
If I may, I think that information is the key. The key, I mean, we cannot fight a problem without acknowledging it. So we need to, as we do in our association Fiers et Sœurs, we need to just explain the various problems that we are facing. What are they? What are the solutions? Why do we act like that? Why is the society built like this? And this way, men can understand that feminism is not about men versus women, and they can understand that we both need to act because we are all human, and men and women can both got good consequences from feminism, from questioning the society in which we live, the value that we have, the injections that are made on men and women. They can understand that women and feminism in general is fighting against injection. Feminism is just, we want equality and we want everyone to live the life that they want according to their will, if it's clear.
That's very good. Yes, thank you. Does anyone else like to add something? Some practical tips?
Yes. Yeah, I completely agree with Marine Michel. In our association, we only have one man, and it's not by choice. Of course, all the men are welcome in our association. If we are looking at the percentage of the followers in our account, we have on our Instagram account, we have 80% of women and 20% of men. So it's a lot more of women, obviously, but there's still men, and they're still asking questions about how they should be involved. And as I said earlier, and I agree with Marie-Michel, listening and relaying the informations, and also, well, involving in associations like the Man in Our Association, who was also part of the committee. So yeah, I think listening to women is very, very important, because I often have male friends who, well, not anymore, but they used to tell me when we would heard a lot of testimonies, like for instance the Me Too movement or these events, they would say, I didn't know, I didn't know this was a thing. And I was a bit shocked, because I always talked about it. And also sometimes some guys that would tell me, I didn't know, well, I talked about this with them, but they kind of forgot. So I think listening is the first step. And then after understanding, well, the cause, then I think you can get involved and relay informations, for instance, on Instagram, and on this, or read, give credits to female authors by reading their books, or this kind of things. Thank you.
Thank you so much. There are some great comments in the chat. Seek their audience, invite them to the seminars, create awareness about primary goals of feminism, create a social contest with the opposite gender, and be open to speaking out against other men when they're not behaving in a good way. Yeah.
Sylvie, you wanted to?
No, it just highlighted, just to maybe to insist, because I think that it's very important to recognize the legitimacy of men to speak also about equality between men and women. And I think that I write the impact, if it's a man and not only women, will be very effective to progress and to evolve in this situation. And another point is currently to increase the fact to share the task, the home task. And for this, it's very important to work with employers, and the employers have to respect, as well as the women and men, the contrast for private life and for the hours, the meeting. And it's very difficult, because I am the first who are difficulties to respect and to have good priorities for me, for the colleagues. And but it's very important to have this as well as for men and women, not only for women. And to finish at 6 o'clock, for example, and all this, it's very important to include this in the professional life.
I think this also meets what was said in our previous session about work and life reconciliation. I also would like to add that yes, it is important to involve men, and that we are all, whatever gender we are, involved in this cause, because I really liked what Marine said, and Noemi, about deconstructing our beliefs, and then learning and working together hand in hand to moving towards making the possibility for any individual to be able to access the type of life they would like to have. And I think this is something important as well.
And for this, it's very important to change the values in the professional life.
Yes.
For to succeed in the career, for example, because often for women, it's not the first things to the priority. And even for men, it could be very efficient to use the different priorities and to show that it could be possible to succeed in our career, even with private priorities or other organization.
Thank you, Sylvie. I think it's good to hear that the employers also want to be part of it.
It's difficult to do.
Yeah. But it's good to have intention and then see what can be done. It's a great start. Kristen, was there anything else we wanted to add?
Well, we had a lot of questions and good comments in the chat. So maybe, but I think that we are out of time.
We still have 5 minutes, but Sylvie has to leave, I think, in 3 minutes, and the other panelists, I'm sure, can also answer.
Okay, because I think we still need to vote as well, right?
Yeah, oh, that's right. Sorry.
So I think do we want to have some last words and then take the vote, or should we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I think everybody, from my understanding is that the panelists all agree that we need education. We need to deconstruct what's been taught and what the society has built as a scheme for all of us. And we need to ask ourselves towards where do we want to go and what kind of life as an individual we would like to have. And the employers, institutions should allow us to have that thinking, to think through in this way and have options that we can actually work with them. That makes it possible for our work to be efficient, but also our life, our personal life to be fulfilling, whether we be a man or a woman. That's what I understand. And then also about confidence, about how do we take out our doubts and manage to not see ourselves as weaker and as not legitimate to what we want to do and where we want to pursue. Anybody else would like to add anything? Okay, well, thank you very much. So, yeah.
Was the last one, because I agree with you, but I would like to insist that when we are women, it's very important, don't try to copy men, and how to say, to keep and to assume your own way of doing, of reacting, of defending values. And I think that it's very important because that it's what we bring to a system, and it's very important to have in your mind that it's this difference, it's particular, and it's important to bring it and to assume it.
Thank you, Sylvie. Exactly, this is what makes us rich. It's the diversity, and it's the complementary of everyone. Thank you very much for that. Last but not least, we would like to consult you, our audience, on the choice of the subject for the session that we will be holding in June. So Kristen will guide us through. We can't hear you, Kristen.
Sorry, yes, I'm going between the screens. So now, again, in the chat, I've written a link that you can click on. It's the same link as before, but it's a new question now. We would like to know what the audience thinks is the best topic for our last seminar in June. We have language inclusivity and exclusivity. How would the use of local languages change in the coming years, and is using English more inclusive or exclusive in education? The second topic, financial barriers to education. How can we work to make higher education more accessible regardless of economic background? The third one, differing abilities in a physical classroom. How are universities doing when it comes to seeing that all students can get around and use facilities? Next, the fourth, democratic values. In a global classroom, what are the values which are being taught, and are they the same worldwide or even within Europe? And last but not least, family background influence on children going into higher education. How does one's family background influence whether or not one goes to university? So we see here, I believe we have already 19 answers, which is a lot of people. And it seems to be an overwhelming majority. Oh no, I take that back. We have two very strong topics which we can look at. I believe there's due to the political situation at the moment, maybe the democratic values is a stronger contender. So if we close the voting in just 10 more seconds. All right, we'll stop the vote there. Thank you all so much for participating. I think we have our concept for our last e-conference, and we hope that you will join us then. Oh, you're muted.
We can't hear
Sorry.
you.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. So it is now time to close our session. I wanted to, and we all wanted to thank you all for being with us. We hope you appreciated this conference and hope to see you at our next one. So we will be talking about sexual orientation on the 17th of May, same time, same place. Have a lovely afternoon.